Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cover 2, the webinar. Really excited about getting going. Hadn't done an episode in a little bit, and excited about getting back to talking football. Let's talk some football. All right. Today, what we have is, of course, welcome. All right. We'll talk about we'll talk about cover 2 years and some vertical routes versus cover 2. So those vertical routes that people run out of empty formations, and the vertical routes out of 3-by-1 formations, mainly trips is what we'll be talking about when we're talking about 3-by-1. So excited about hitting that, and then we'll have some Q&A. Okay, there'll be some Q&A mixed in there. If you have a question, you want to ask it. I think there's a section on here where you can raise your hand to ask a question, or just go ahead and chat your question. Go to chat, type your question in, and we'll go from there. But yeah, really excited about this episode. Excited about getting going. Excited about talking some football this off season or in season for coaches, and getting after it. But I will say this: it would be, it'd be tough to move on without acknowledging the news that broke this weekend about the death of Kobe Bryant. So I'd like to just take a moment before we get started in acknowledgement of Kobe Bryant. I didn't know Kobe as a friend or anything like that, but I just as a fan and as a person that I admired from afar, just really admired him and his career and the things that he brought to the game of basketball, and also brought to just sport in general. Great man, and well respected, and one of the best ever, in my opinion. Probably the best ever. So he will be missed. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. So we'll move on. So keys to having a successful play. As we move into football here, keys to having a successful play. Every guy's got to know his alignment, assignment, his key, his technique, responsibility. And then once you've gotten all that down, then you can coach up the finishing part. Like, you hear a lot of coaches talking about playing hard, playing fast, playing physical. Well, that's kind of the finish and the attitude in which you want to play the game. You also hear coaches talking about taking the ball away, sprinting to the ball, taking the ball away, scoring on defense. Well, that's all in the finished part. What comes before that, though, is guys getting aligned, guys knowing what to do, how to do it, knowing what their key reads are, understanding the technique, understanding what their responsibility is. And when guys understand that, guess what? They end up in the right places so that they can get to that finish, get to that sprint to the ball, get to that taking the ball away, all those things that come along with that. So the keys to having a successful play really starts when the defense is broken the huddle and when the guys are getting aligned. It starts before the play even happens, pre-snap. So want to set that up. Okay, so cover 2 versus 2x2 vertical route concepts. Okay, so we're just mentioning that slide before this one, knowing your alignment, assignment, key, technique, responsibility. Okay, knowing those things, we're talking about 2x2 formations from an offense's perspective. We're talking about this side of the ball here. Okay, all right, for just the football enthusiast or whatnot. And we're talking about a formation that has 1, 2, and then one has 2 receivers on both sides. Balanced formation, okay? We're talking about 2x2. So formationally, this is what we're talking about in terms of a 2x2 formation. Defensively, okay, we've got a cornerback here, all right? This is a nickel, or some people call it 4-2-5. I call it nickel, all right? Nickel personnel on defense. Okay, so this is your nickelback. All right, so your corners are aligned about 4 yards, either off the man or off the ball. I prefer 4 yards, starting out 4 yards off the man, okay? 4 yards off the man for the cornerback. Okay, for the nickelback, he's gonna split the difference between the offensive tackle here and the number 2 receiver. That's if they have a wide split. If there's a tight split, then he'll be more head up on number 2. Then you have your two linebackers. You have your middle linebacker right in the middle of the field. This is your middle linebacker right here. Okay, that's the Mike. Okay, and the wheel linebacker right here. Wheel linebacker is going to pretty much take the same alignment as we talked about with the nickel. All right, the nickelback. All right, and most nickelbacks by definition are pretty much your third cornerbacks. Okay, third corner brought on the field for coverage purposes. Okay, you could very well do this out of 3 linebackers. That's your Sam, your Mike, and your Will. Okay, and the cornerback down at the bottom of the screen, he has the same. He should take the same alignment as the corner at the top of the screen. For the safeties, however, the safeties want to go ahead and align about 12 yards from the line of scrimmage. Okay, and they want to align slightly outside of number 2 receiver. Okay. Now their landmark will be, if it's pros, all right, the numbers are way farther in. If it's high school and college, the numbers are closer to the sideline. So their landmark will be splitting the difference between the college hash and the college numbers, all right? College hash, college number, okay? Over top of number 2, college hash, college numbers, okay? So that's what we're talking about right there. Now, the route concept itself, all right, because we talk about this, 2x2, all right, 2x2, all right, vertical route concepts, all right, or seam routes, okay? Most quarterbacks will call this seam routes. All right, so the route combination from the offense's perspective is want to stretch, all right, stretch close outside the numbers and about 2 or 3 yards from the sideline by the X receiver, okay? The Z receiver, the number 2 receiver, wants to get vertical, and really, as this card is drawn, he wants to bend this route right into the middle of the field, okay? Expecting that there'll be a window, all right? I'm gonna draw a window right there to fit that ball right in, okay? All right, so that's the concept. The concept is duplicated on the opposite side with the Y and your W receiver, okay? All right, so really your Y wants to bend this thing into the middle of the field. The W wants to stretch, create width, all right, and work close to the sideline, okay? So that's the concept. Quarterback, all right, quarterback wants to look to fit the ball right into the window here, or right into that window right there. Okay, now, defensively, how do we defend that? Okay, so we'll go to my next slide here, and we'll talk about it from a defensive perspective. Okay, now I understand that instead of, we don't have a number 2 receiver removed from the core here, but this is good though, because now we have a tight end that's attached to the line, to the core, that's in close proximity to this offensive tackle right there. Okay, so we have a tight end attached to the core. However, as you look at this picture, guess where I got this picture from? I got this picture. Okay, there are a lot of Madden enthusiasts out there. Okay, I will add this. At one point, I was a very, very good Madden player. All right, and I think my son could vouch for that. Used to beat him all the time. All right, haven't played quite as much here lately, so he does hold the stick now. All right, but that's another story. Anyway. Let me get off the side story here. So we're talking about cover 2 here. All right. So cover 2. All right. On the game, you'll see this drawing, and they have these big old circles, right? You got your big circles there, circles, circles, circles. All right. And you see in the circles, there's some writing: soft squat. All right. Vertical hook. All right. Middle read. Now, they don't even have anything in the big blue circles there. All right, and then soft squat. Okay. All right. Those are so, these terms are so general. And trust me, when people are coaching cover 2, they leave these general terms out here. Okay. I'm going to tell you exactly what they have to do. All right, what the responsibilities are. So for the corners, we talked about this a little bit earlier. He's 4 yards off the man right here. What he wants to do is jam and reroute the number 1 receiver. Okay, it doesn't matter. Stay square, get the jam, disrupt the route, cause a little bit of delay. Okay, we just don't want this guy to take a release and scream right up the field, right? So we want to go ahead and jam and reroute. If he goes inside, that's fine. If he goes outside, that's fine too. Because either way, it's going to help the defense figure out how to take the next step. Okay, so let me get back to, okay, so we're talking about cornerback play, jam reroute. After he gets the jam reroute, he's going to hinge, meaning he's going to open this. I love this because now I can circle that inside foot. He's going to open, hinge, and sink. Okay, so open, hinge, and sink. Okay, with vision through the number 2 receiver onto the quarterback. Wow, that's some good stuff right there. All right, so that's the cornerback play. All right, for this nickel. All right, the nickel is going to split the difference between the number 2 receiver, which is Y, and this offensive tackle. Okay, gonna align. How does he align? He's gonna be about 4 yards deep, splitting the difference between the number 2 receiver and the end man on line of scrimmage, which is the offensive tackle. Okay, that being said, okay, so that's his alignment. His key read, all right? Now, balanced stance, all right? No inside foot back or outside foot back, just square balanced stance with vision, all right? He wants to use his peripheral vision to see him, to see the number 2 receiver. I think you can do that, and into a triangle kind of view right there, okay? So it's a triangle read here, okay? So on the snap, he's just gonna hold his position right here, okay? And get his key read. Doesn't have to go anywhere right away. Just stay there, sit there with your vision inside while feeling what's happening with the number 2 receiver. Now, vertical routes, he's gonna be going pretty fast and he's gonna look to bend right away, okay? So I'm gonna erase this triangle here just so we can get a good view. Okay, so he's gonna look to bend this thing in there, okay? Remember, the quarterback is looking for that window to fit the ball in, right? So, so he's on the snap. He's going to hold his position. Then once he sees that quarterback's pulling up and it's pass, high hats by the offensive lineman, back is obviously blocking, quarterbacks pull the ball up, then it'll burst into a back pedal, okay? Now, right about 6 to 8 yards, or maybe in 7 to 10 yards, okay? Right around where the sticks are, once he feels that this guy has passed him up, now he's still square, he's still seeing what's happening, but once the number 2 has passed him up, now he wants to shuffle back in laterally, okay? Lateral move, back inside. Guess what that does? That will put that nickel linebacker right in that window where the quarterback wants to try to fit the football. Okay, now let's talk about our Mike linebacker. All right, our Mike. So we got a guy who's going to be working into that window. Quarterback doesn't know that. He just thinks he's going to be sitting here. This route's going to bend in behind him. He's going to set up and drill that ball right in there. Completion every time. Not so fast. Not so fast. Okay. Now for the Mike linebacker. All right. Now the front here is in an over front. So for the Mike linebacker, we want to line more right over the football. Okay. And on the snap, he's going to be a little bit slow with his read and not have to take an A gap or B gap charge right away. It's going to be nice and slow. All right. Nice and slow. Read it. All right. Once he sees that it's passed, though, he's going to open to the side the quarterback is looking. So right here, we're saying the quarterback is looking in this direction. All right. Saying the quarterback is looking, let's see here. I want to change the color of my pen here. Uh-oh, can't do it. All right. So we'll say the quarterback is looking to this window. All right. Now, for the Mike linebacker, he'll open that way, but he'll stay in the middle of the field, keeping that drop down the middle of the field, okay? And as he keeps that drop down the middle of the field, he's not going to look at the receiver, but all vision will be on the quarterback, seeing what the quarterback is doing, okay? Because the quarterback could look here, okay? Could look here, okay? Or he could start looking here and then look to come to this side here. So for the Mike linebacker, whatever side the quarterback's looking, he's going to have his shoulders turned, body posture turned, all right, to the side the quarterback's looking. So if the quarterback is looking one way and then he looks back the other way, he just pivot the hips, flip back, all right, with vision back to the quarterback as he continues to work down the middle of the field. Okay. Now that term right there, middle reach, is a true term. Okay. All right. Okay. Now quarterback's going to throw the ball and look to fit it in this window here. What happens? Mike linebacker, he's open, he starts his drop, quarterback's on the throw, he'll break into the window. All right. So we should have the nickel going into the window and the Mike linebacker breaking into the window. The guy we haven't talked about, or I haven't talked about, is what happens with the safeties. All right. So safety's going to hit his landmark. Okay. High school, the number's going to be right along that line there. Okay. The hash mark's going to be a little bit wider. So we'll say this. All right. High school and college, you want to get in that area right there. Splitting the difference between the numbers and the hash mark. Okay. Between the numbers and the hash mark. Maybe even favoring, depending on this player's athleticism, speed, and all that, maybe even favoring just a little bit more, all right, when he sees this, maybe a little bit more, all right, towards the hash mark, as long as he can make that play to the sideline. Okay, so the safety is going to start his drop, okay, and when he starts his drop, when he hits his landmark, he'll get into a back pedal, but as he's working to his landmark, he's going to take a peek out to see what number one is doing. If number one is taking outside release, now he'll get his vision to number two to see what's happening, okay? If number two does not go vertical, say you run something short underneath route or something like that, then that safety knows if the quarterback's looking here, he'll be on his landmark, he can cheat a little bit towards that number one receiver. if you have two verticals, if you got him running that go route, all right, and him screaming up the seam, okay, he's got to be more honest, got to midpoint it and be in a position where he can break to the number 2 receiver, okay, to break to the number 2 receiver, or break to the number 1 receiver. I don't know what that just popped up on me. I don't know if you guys saw that. had a box pop up. Okay, so that's how that'll play out. Okay, and the same will hold true for the opposite side of the field. Okay, all right. However, with the tight end close to the core here, he becomes more of a curl player. So he's got to work. All right, he starts his release. He's gonna be inside of him. Okay, right inside of him, and more hooked to curl, I should say. Okay, and hold it off. And then once he hits about 10 to 12, he'll start working back into the window that the quarterback might be trying to fit the ball into on that side. Okay. All right. So that sums up 2 by 2. Okay. We're talking about 2 by 2 versus cover 2. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about cover 2 versus 3 by 2, or your empty formations. What is an empty formation? An empty formation means this, that there's no one in the backfield with the quarterback. Quarterback's in there by himself, okay? He's in there by himself. However, everyone's spread out. So you have 1, 2, 3 receivers to one side, and you got 1, 2 to the opposite side, okay? Common route concept, okay? Common route concept out of empty. How do you get to seams? Well, this guy hooks up right over the ball. This guy looks to bend it. This guy takes an outside release. This guy looks to bend. He takes an outside release and works up the sideline. Okay. Excuse my line right there. Okay, he works up the sideline. All right, and excuse my line on this side because he'll take an outside release there. Okay. As far as what we talked about a little bit earlier, everything plays the same except for one interesting thing that has to happen. Okay, so we just talked about 2 by 2 versus cover 2 and how the nickel play. We talked about cornerback play. Talked about safety play. Okay, we've talked about middle linebacker play. Now the outside linebacker is going to play exactly the same way as the nickel. Okay, on the snap, he's going to hold his ground. Okay, once he realizes his pass, he'll backpedal, staying square, read the quarterback. When he feels this number 2 receiver pass by him, all right, he'll work lateral, and he feels like this guy's bending in. He'll work lateral to stay in that window the quarterback wants to fit the ball into. Now, and we're saying that the quarterback is looking in this direction, all right, to our right. Quarterback is looking to our right. Now something interesting has to happen. Because we have someone that is hooked up right over the football, okay? We've got someone that's hooked up right over top of the football here, all right? And I'll draw that more. We've got to get a little bit of what we call a cheat or a melt here, all right? Cheat or melt. If there's a number 3 receiver, okay, or shallow receiver, all right, okay, and you are away from the side that the quarterback is looking to throw the ball to, you have to melt. So this player here, who on the snap doesn't hold his ground, doesn't move, all right, just pats his feet in place, okay, then he sees his pass, he starts his drop. Once he sets up, and we say we'll set up, meaning stop, no more depth, but just stop and move with the quarterback, okay? Once the quarterback has set his feet, we'll stop our drop, and when we're saying the quarterback's looking to our right, he's the guy that's got to melt to this area right here, all right, for that number 3 receiver. Okay, so he's got to melt. Nothing changes in terms of the technique to the side the quarterback is looking to. Nothing changes with the technique that the middle linebacker will then use. He'll keep working down the middle of the field. It's what happens with the underneath guys that changes a little bit. And even the backside corner, he'll jam and reroute. He'll hinge, sink. When the quarterback sets up and you know he's looking in this direction, he can cheat a little bit as well. Okay. So the backside of the zone coverage moves with the quarterback. Boom. All right. Very interesting. All right. So that's how cover two. All right. You figure out how things work. All right. You know, alignment, assignment, technique, responsibility, understanding that and moving with it. Okay. That's some inner workings. That's some nuggets right there for the novice or for the guys that really want to know the inside of cover two. That's a key point right there. Otherwise, all they have to do is, you know, you're in cover two, just hook this guy up over the ball all day long, knowing that no one's going to be there or he's so far away, we'll catch it and gain 10 before he makes the tackle. All right, we'll get this guy in position where as soon as this guy hooks up, quarterback's looking here, he's moving there. And I've seen this happen. Quarterback looks to number two, then looks to number three. And when he does, he just throws the ball, and that's a pick six. Seen that happen. All right. If we're playing it correctly, let's play correctly, and they want to go to number three, that's what should happen. It should be a big hit, cause fumble, or interception. All right. So that is cover two versus empty. Okay, got a hand raised here. All right, we got a little bit of Q&A. Okay, saw a hand was raised. Let's see here. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let me see, where is that? All right, I got to find your hand there.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Question.
Yeah. So in empty,
yes,
you see a lot of teams drop the D tackle. I was just gonna try to ask, you know, where would that fit in? What is the D tackle's role when they do drop them in empty?
Yes. So,
and how does that affect the other linebackers?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, with a lot of what's happening in college football with these what they call them spread offenses, where the receivers are so far apart, okay, because your hashes are wide, your numbers are extra wide. The number one receiver might be like 2 yards from the sideline. This guy might be a few yards wider, okay, where these guys are aligned further apart. Okay, now if number three does set up over the ball, it puts a lot more stress on this linebacker that's playing, or nickel that's playing in that seam area, okay, in terms of having to cheat to the number three. Okay, so what happens is, all right, one adjustment is to simply drop one of the linemen, one of the defensive tackles. Majority of the time, it's the nose tackle, all right, where he will throw his hands into the offensive center or offensive guard if he's aligned in a 2-eye, and then drop straight back and man this middle of the field. So he becomes that extra defender underneath that's able to take away this number three receiver. Okay, so that the defense doesn't have to compromise and tell the Mike linebacker, no, you can't run down the middle of the field, because they need him, because the Mike linebackers need it. Okay, the Mike linebackers need it back in that area right there. Okay, so it's another way, or it is a way to get an extra receiver in the underneath coverage to help out. Great question. Great question. All right. Any other questions?
Also, hello.
Yeah.
Also, I was wondering if you could go more in depth on the outside linebackers progression when is there a difference when they see outside release or inside release?
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
number one,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and
Let's
how they
go
can.
back. Let's go back to that now. So for the nickel and also the outside linebacker, anybody that's aligned in this position here, or let me erase the screen a little bit, or this position right here, okay? All right, those are seam players, okay? All right, they don't have to carry anything vertical. They just have to make sure that they are in the throwing lane, and the underneath routes by number 2, where you may get a snag route or or anything that's kind of or hitch or something like that, or curl route or something like by the number 2 that they're close enough to it. But their key read has to be, all right, to go into a little bit more depth on the snap. All right, they are staying in place. Okay, once they read his pass, and generally pass is read off the quarterback. He starts his pass drop, you start your drop. Okay, now before you start going backwards, starting that drop, getting into a back pedal, he wants to take a peek out to see what number 1 is doing. Okay, because with an outside release by number 1, okay, that tells him now that as he's getting his drop, that we want to weave to get a little bit closer to number 2. All right, to get a little bit closer to this number 2 guy. Okay, so he'll start his weave. All right, when he feels him pass him, he's got to assume that he's bending it. So on that assumption right there, okay, we want to work back and flat to get into the throwing lane of the quarterback. Good stuff. Cover 2 working at its best. So these outside linebackers or nickels, okay, all right, they've got to see what the release is. If you get an inside release, all right, inside releases meaning inside breaking routes, okay, inside breaking routes. So the complement on with an inside release is number 2 running something shallow, right? Running a snag, running just a hitch or a quick curl. With an inside release, the assumption has to be that you're going to get some type of dig route back in behind it. So when he does see an inside release, it automatically should tell, it signals in the back of these guys' minds that now I have to play deep to short, okay, as opposed to kind of shallow, okay, shallow and underneath. Got to play more deep to short to be in the window in case quarterback wants to hit that. Okay, good stuff. Any more questions? Okay. You sure? No more questions? All right, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
I got another one.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So I feel like we were getting beat on a lot of like, you know, when the quarterback gets to that 5th step and the corner is so far deep because he's sinking on underneath like 7 routes.
Yes.
I was just wondering, how deep do you want the corner to sink? Because when they flare back to the flat or something like that, it always seemed like it was a hard tackle for guys, you know, just coming from especially the corner coming from like 15, 20 yards deep.
Yeah, yeah. So what happens here, what should happen with the corners, okay? All right. He should get a jam, open, hinge, and sink. Okay. His hinge and sink. All right. The sink has to be a full speed crossover. All right, with vision to number 2 onto the quarterback. Okay. Now, if we get, let's say we got route combination. Let's say we got here No, let's go here. Let's go here. This will be better. Here, here, here. All right. Okay. Let's say we got something where he's going there right now. Okay. Number 2 is going to the flat. We got in, up, and back out, like a 7 route right there. So it's a 7. China 7 is what this route is normally called. All right. Now we'll get jam, hinge, and sink. We got to be in position at about 10 to 12. When quarterback stops his drop, he'll start to shuffle, and that'll be right about 10 to 12 yards deep. Okay. Now, if the quarterback's trying to fit this ball into this window, he should be deep enough where he can make a play here. All right. Now, with vision back inside and seeing the quarterback throws it underneath, all it is a plant and drive, leverage side tackle. All right. Sawing off the outside leg of the receiver that's coming to the flat. Okay. And that is a full speed sprint tackle, not one of those where you take a couple steps and shuffle and just kind of measure and let the receiver gain an extra 3, 4, 5 yards. Okay, this is one of those where you stick your foot in the ground, drive back downhill, and make that tackle. Make that tackle. And should also pick up your seam player working to it. So it should be 2 guys sprinting and, man, really vicing at the point of contact and getting the ball carrier on the ground to minimize any excess or extra yardage after the catch. Great question. Yeah, okay. All right, any other questions? Okay, well, let's move on. All right, we got 3x1. All right, cover 2 versus 3x1 vertical routes. Okay, now we're talking about 3x1. We're talking about a trips formation. Okay, you have your number 1, 2, and 3 receivers there, and you've got 1 receiver aligned opposite, okay, of those receivers. Trips. Okay, trips. Now, quarterback under center is just trips. Quarterback in a gun is gun trips. Whatever you want to call it. Whatever your guys happen to call this. All right, universally is 3x1. Okay, now the concept of the vertical routes in 3x1 is to get Y up the middle of the field, pretty much in the seam or kind of outside the hash marks between the numbers and the hash, and then an outside release on the outside by the X receiver. Okay, backside, just getting a fade route. Okay, now, what we talked about in cover 2 with the nickel here, and that could very well be a linebacker as well, it's the same as 2x2 for this guy. He's a seam player. It's the same for the corner. You want to jam and reroute, okay? It's pretty much the same for the safety. However, he wants to sit over top of number 2, okay? And it also depends on the split of number 2, but he wants to set landmark to over top of number 2. Okay, with the ability to break in, all right, to number 3, or get to the sideline to number 1. Okay, the middle linebacker or the middle read defender has to work down the middle of the field here. Okay, and there's a tempo that he wants to have. He wants to be slightly behind the number 2 and number 3. Okay, and he'll go ahead and take that drop. The safety backside will hit his landmark, read the quarterback, all right? Because you could get a fade route. Quarterback could go here, okay? He wants to be in position to get there. So on the snap, boom, he'll shuffle to get his run pass read, okay? Once he sees his pass, he'll see what number 1 is doing. Number 1 is taking outside release. You got to think, okay, I'm getting a fade route. All right, so he'll hit his landmark. If the quarterback is looking in this direction, he'll go there. Or he'll start to cheat a little bit there. I shouldn't say take off there, all right? Because he's going to be needed, and we'll see that in the next illustration that we have here. But this is just a basic, all right, verticals out of 3x1. Okay. Now here's an example of, okay, we've got cover 2 We got the middle read player getting down the middle of the field and wants to be slightly behind number 2 and number 3, number 2 here and number 3, as they work up the field. And the reason he wants to have that positioning is so that the quarterback has to throw the ball high, all right, a lot of air underneath the ball to try to fit it in to get a completion to either number 2 or number 3, okay? When played correctly, here's what your outcome should be. All right. Should be intercepted. Right? Let's bring that back. And you can see how they're playing. He's opening, having vision, all right? This is a soft play by this guy, but you'd like to see him hang right here, let this route climb on you a little bit more, okay? And then he wants to be in the throwing lane, and he wants to be in the throwing lane to force a high throw. High throws equal easy reads for the safeties two safeties that are playing deep. If they get easy reads, they're able to get a break on the ball. They're able to get the interceptions and do those things that we talk about in terms of finishing. Okay. Intercepted. Okay. So as we talk about that, that's how it should play out. Okay, here's another concept, okay? 3x1 vertical concept. Now what we have is we've got Y running this over route, the more deeper, okay? So what it becomes is it's as if he aligned here and went there, right? For Y, okay? So now he's running there. Now number 2 is really bending this thing back inside, okay? What we talked about early on about the corners doesn't change. We talked about with the nickel in terms of how he plays versus vertical route, it doesn't change. The person it works on here is starting with the middle read player, is start down the middle of the field. Now, when the tight end crosses, he has to keep working in the middle of the field, okay? Down the middle of the field, okay? Just in case, all right, quarterback wants to throw to this route right here, he's got enough depth to fit in the window versus that throw, okay? All right, now, the pressure point in this versus this route concept is the free safety. The free safety has his reads that we talked about a little bit earlier, getting his landmark, okay? Shuffling when the ball snap, getting run pass free, getting to his landmark, peeking to number 1 to see what's happening, gaining depth, and then eyes to the quarterback. If he sees a quarterback looking at Y coming over, all right, he'll maintain his depth, and when the ball's thrown, be in position to break and get a collision, separate the tight end from the football, all that good stuff. Okay. The other key component is the weak hook defender. Okay. Weak hook defender will get his run pass read, backpedal, that's fast, set up when the quarterback sets his feet and gets ready to, thinks he's going to look to a side or whatnot to throw the football. He wants to set his feet. Okay. And then he'll start to cheat. Now, as he's cheating, he's got to take a peek to see where number 3 is at. If number 3 is coming towards him, he wants to get in throwing lane and stay in the throwing lane, okay? So he wants to force the quarterback to make a high throw to fit it in, to allow the free safety to make a play on the ball. If the ball's thrown, doesn't have much air underneath it, guess what? It becomes an interception for this linebacker, okay? So that's what we have right there. Here's an illustration. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is cover 2. All right. Oops. This is cover 2 that's run from That's run from guys that are up in the line of scrimmage, but you'll see the guys drop out. High throw, bang. All right, allows the safety an opportunity to break on the ball and separate the receiver from the football. Now, I don't like the outcome of this. All right, okay, but that's the idea right there in terms of how you want to fit that route up. Okay, so those are 3x1 vertical route concepts. Okay, anybody have any questions on those? Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. So those are your 3x1 route concepts, which are pretty. You shut those down. You shut down the vertical game. All right, that's the first thing. When people are playing against cover 2, they think right away, I can get the verticals all day. Quarterbacks all they want to do is throw the ball down the middle of the field. Every time they throw the ball down the middle of the field, it should be an interception. It should be an interception. Okay. All right. Big thing this week. I'm moving on to the Super Bowl 54. Okay. Super Bowl 54. 49ers, Chiefs. Okay. Here we go. This has a makings not only the Super Bowl. Some Super Bowls are anticlimactic because the game of the year actually probably happened during the season last year, or prior to the game. Last year, I think the game of the year, or not this past season, but the season before, 2018 season, the game of the year was probably the Rams and the Chiefs, right? Both teams scoring 50 points. You know, you hate to see one team lose because they both fought so hard. Defense made plays, offense made plays. Both teams, oh man, both sides of the ball, fireworks were going all over the place, right? This game has the potential to have that same kind of deal. This is going to be one to kind of buckle up your seatbelt and let's watch this one. All right, 49ers, looking at them, you see a couple things, okay? Love the play calling. Offensive play calling, love it. All right. What they want to do, they want to run the football. They're gonna make it plain and simple. If you show that you cannot stop their run game, they will run the football 60 times if they can. Okay. They're gonna run the football. Defensively, okay, they get so much pressure with their front four. There's really no need to blitz, all right? However, when they do blitz, it's a big play, okay? They think it's sack, fumble, all that. And then the next thing, man, they are opportunistic. This team is pretty daggum good defensively. And gonna be a pretty good matchup against Kansas City because no one really talks about how the team speed that the defense has for the 49ers. This is a fast defense, all right? They get after it, okay? So looking at that, man, it's going to be very interesting, all right? Some of the things that Kansas City, can they do, okay? First off, they cannot afford to get off to a slow start. They've gotten off to slow starts in both of the playoff games. All right, if they mess around and do that, they could find themselves down. They could find themselves down big early. And if that happens with the San Francisco 49ers defense, that could be lights out. Okay, but what do they have to do? Mahomes, man, it's going to come down to him, man. He's going to have to use his legs to avoid the rush, all right, find receivers down the field. They can, like I said before, they cannot afford to fall behind early. They cannot afford to have a slow start. They've got to get the ball in the hands of, I think, this guy, Tyreek Hill, early, often, get him involved, get him in the end zone, all right? You get him in the end zone early, a lot of great things will happen. And then, as we talked about a second ago, using the legs. Going to have to use his legs, all right, to run and avoid this rush and to make some plays. If he can do that, I think the offense is going to be in pretty good shape. Now, defensively, they have to stop the run. That first play right there, man, you talking about a running play that they actually played pretty well against the run against Tennessee. However, However, Tennessee found themselves losing momentum on the road, had to abandon the run game. All right. San Francisco's going to run the football, and they're going to run it early, often. They're going to make you stop it and stop it again and again and again. If they can stop the run game and put pressure on Garoppolo with their front four, I think they have a chance to really make some things happen. If they can get pressure, all right, and get to Garoppolo, get those sacks early, got a chance. Got a chance. So, my pick for the Super Bowl. I'm giving you some stuff to kind of marinate on right there. All right. My pick for the Super Bowl is gonna be San Francisco 49ers. All right. This team is for real. Speed all over the place. They've got speed in on the practice field. They got speed in the weight room. They got speed all over the place. All right. Their defense wins championships. These guys have stepped up. They've made plays. All right. They've shut some of the best offenses down offensively. All right. They're well-rounded, well put together, game plans, play calling. Oh my goodness. It's just too good to be true. All right. There's no way. They are for real. If you stop their run game, they've got the passing game to eat you alive. All right. Man, the wild card is going to be how much pressure Kansas City can get on the quarterback. But that being said, San Francisco, all right. And I think it's going to be one of those 35-21 games. All right. It could be 45, 42, who knows. But San Francisco, go Niners. All right. I'm in the Bay Area. Go Niners. Thank you for coming to the webinar. Thanks for logging in. You can find me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All right. Twitter and Facebook, I'm at Cover 2 Guru. Facebook, all right. Instagram at Hardy Nickerson. You can email me, Hardy at Cover2Guru, and then on the web at Cover2Guru. And also Elite Athletes TV. Find some drill work, find some coaching points. Let's get going. Thank you for coming. All right. I have this thing. Whenever you come in my huddle, all right, you come in, we got to break it. So on the ready, we say break, and the meeting is over. Ready, break. Catch you next time.